Some called for ale, some for porter, and one for coffee, and all of them for cakes, so the hobbit was kept very busy for a while. A big jug of coffee had just been set in the hearth, the seed cakes were gone, and the dwarves were starting on a round of buttered scones when there came a loud knock. Not a ring, but a hard rat-tat on the hobbit's beautiful green door. Somebody was banging with a stick. Bilbo rushed along the passage, very angry, and altogether bewildered and bewildered. This was the most awkward Wednesday he ever remembered. He pulled open the door with a jerk, and they all fell in one on top of the other. More dwarves, 4 more, and there was Gandalf behind, leaning on his staff and laughing. He had made quite a dent in the beautiful door.
Carefully, carefully, he said. It's not like you to keep friends waiting on the mat and then open the door like a pop gun. Let me introduce Biffle-Boffle Bomber, and especially Thorin.
At your service, said Biffle-Boffle Bomber, standing in the light. Then they hung up 2 yellow hoods and a pale green one, and also a sky blue one with a long silver tassel. This last belonged to Thorin, an enormously important dwarf. In fact, no other than the great Thorin Oakenshield himself, who was not at all pleased at falling flat on Bilbo's mat with Biffle-Boffle and Bomber on top. For one thing, Bomber was immensely fat and heavy. Thorin, indeed, was very haughty, and said nothing about service. Poor Mr. Baggins said he was sorry so many times that at last he grunted, "Brian, don't mention it," and stopped frowning.
Now we are all here,
said Gandalf, looking at the row of 13 hoods, the rest detaching on party lights, and his own hat hanging on the legs.
Quite a merry gathering. I hope there is something left for the late comers to drink. But what's that tea? Oh, no, thank you. A little red wine. I think for you.
And for me, said Thorin.
And raspberry jam and apple tart, said Gandalf. And mince pies and cheese, said Buffy. And pork pie and salad, said Buffy. And more cake.
In half a mile, use the left 2 lanes to turn left.
An ale and coffee, if you don't mind,
Called the other dwarves.
Put on a few eggs, there's a good fellow.
Gandalf called after him as the hobbits stumped off to the pantries.
And just bring out the cold chicken and pickles.
Seems to know as much about the inside of my larders as I do myself, thought Mr. Baggins, who was feeling positively flummoxed and was beginning.
Turn left on PGA Parkway.
Whether a most wretched adventure had not come right into his house. By the time he had got all the bottles and dishes and knives and forks and glasses and plates and spoons and things piled up on big trays, he was getting very hot and red in the face and annoyed. Fustigate and bother these dwarves, he said aloud. Why don't they come and lend a hand? Lo and behold, there stood Balin and Dwalin at the door of the kitchen, and Philly and Killy behind them, and before he could say knife, they had whisked the trays and a couple of small tables into the parlour and set everything out afresh. Gandalf sat at the head of the party with the 13 dwarves all round, and Bilbo sat on a stool at the fireside, nibbling at a biscuit. His appetite was quite taken away, and trying to look as if this was all perfectly ordinary and not in the least an adventure. The dwarves ate and talked, and time got on. At last they pushed their chairs back, and Bilbo made a move to collect the plates and glasses. "I suppose you will all stay to supper," he said in his politest, unpressing tones.
Of course, said Thorin. And after, we shan't get through the business till late. And we must have some music first. Now, to clear up.
Thereupon the 12 dwarves, not thinking he was too important and stayed talking to Gandalf, jumped to their feet and made tall piles of all the things. Off they went, not waiting for trays, balancing columns of plates, each with a bottle on the top, with one hand, while the hobbit ran after them all.